it's kind of an interesting thing. I was seeing this energy lady, and she's like, well, part of you being the face of Weekend Hustle, like, you're showing people your journey and you're showing people what you're going through, but when things are hard for you, that's stuff you still need to show. Just because it's hard for you to show it, or it feels like, personally, I was just dealing with, like, who am I to be posting this stuff? Like, who am I to be giving advice? And I felt my creativity flow was totally blocked. And I've been trying to uncover that because I just felt like I had nothing to say. And that's kind of weird. Like, I haven't felt that way, but I do think some of the things that I stopped doing just based on my environment. And those are the things that I know are good for me, such as journaling, just taking time to reflect, taking time to just ground myself and connect back with who I am and my mission and my purpose in this life and what I believe to be true and my goals and all that stuff, like just getting more clarity and more focus on me. So I am feeling more, I do feel better. I still, like have had those moments of inspiration where I'm like, okay, I need to do a podcast interview. I haven't done one in a while. I'm like, I really enjoy the podcasting. I need to do an interview. So I did reach out to a couple people, just like that moment of inspiration. I just jumped at it. I ended up getting an interview booked that I'm going to be talking to in half an hour with Josh Andrews, who has his own saddle company. He's a horse broker, horse trader, if you will. And he's kind of the combo of all the things that I enjoy. It's horses and entrepreneurship, and I'm really excited to chat with him to hear his story and what he's gone through. So that's something that I wouldn't have done a month ago. Like, I wasn't feeling like my goals. Like, I wasn't aligning, or I wasn't even aware of my goals and aware of like what I actually wanted to do, or even potentially like who I feel I am. And I think that happens. And that was happening, and then with that, my creativity flow just like got cut off. Like, I felt like I had nothing worthy of saying. But again, like, that in itself is something worthy of saying, because it just is, again, I'm here to say, like, sharing my journey, I have to share that part too, because that is something that we face, and we face these kind of like droughts, if you will, or just like an energy drought. Like, how we feel about ourselves is just kind of, we're just not feeling there fully. And when we're not feeling there fully, we're not able to live life fully. We're not able to actually reach and keep pursuing the things that we feel called to do, or the path that we feel called down, and the goals. Like, I recently have been getting a little bit more clear with my goals, and actually having a goal for the podcast, and having a goal of how many people I want to reach with the podcast. Right? And I never had that before. I just kind of did it. I just kind of was like, oh yeah, I podcast, I'll do the podcast because we can hustle and blah, blah, blah. But it was like, I never actually had like a mission behind it, other than the obvious of just sharing stuff and talking to people and sharing information and wanting to make connections and allowing other people to also like kind of live through the podcast, to meet people that they never would have met before. And that's great, but sometimes it wasn't enough to keep going, because again, I didn't have almost like the end goal. I didn't have like, what am I striving for with this? Like, it was definitely really fulfilling, but if I didn't have the goal as far as even like monetizing with it, it was like, okay, it's great, but like, now what? Like, what are you gonna do? And so I personally have hit a bit of that roadblock, but I think it's a good one. I think sometimes we have to maybe shrink down a little bit to be like, okay, I'm not comfortable here. I don't want to be here. And that's okay. It's just a season in your life. And I've been doing a bit more inner work, just not even inner work, but just like, sometimes it can be really tiring to stay positive. It can be tiring to be like, okay, I'm always optimistic and blah, blah, blah. I'm like trying really hard. And it takes a lot of work sometimes to be there. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it comes really easily and naturally. And that's a great state to be in, where you wake up, you don't have to think about, oh, my affirmations. You don't have to think about the routines. They just kind of flow. They just kind of happen, and you feel great, and you do them because it makes you feel great. But when you're not feeling great, it can be hard to, keep it flowing, and then you start slacking a little, and it's totally okay, because that slacking is also going to show you on the other side what is really important. And when you stop doing something that is important, will realize that it really is important and that you really need it. So that's kind of where I've been, and just doing things behind the scene. Like I never really thought of myself necessarily as a coach specifically, more of a connector. I feel like I like to connect people to the information or to the resources, and I will have a coaching space because I do, like I ride, I'm more of like the mind ride person, and the soul, like I enjoy the personal development and the growth and starting with ourselves and the self-discovery aspect and digging into who we are, so then we can live and we can move in life as a centered being, sure of ourselves. And when things happen, we know how to handle our emotions and our stressors and our reactions because we know where they're coming from. We know just who we are. And then when we know who we are and we have the awareness, then we can take the step further. And then we can start applying it to our horses and riding and be like, oh, I was so not attached to myself. And then I wasn't attached to my horses in that way, like energetically connected. And I personally, I feel really connected with my horses when I'm working with them. It's not like I'm in there just to accomplish a job of training and barrel racing specifically, but I'm there to build that relationship. And once I have that relationship, everything becomes literally easy as pie. Like it just makes everything so easy because you have that relationship, you have that trust, you have that bond. And it's like, do you trust yourself first and foremost? Because if you want a horse to trust you, do you trust you? Do you trust what you're doing? Do you trust where you are right now in life? Do you trust your steps? Do you trust your process? Like all those things. And again, I believe it all starts with you. So I feel like being an entrepreneur is great because it is what I wanted. Sometimes I didn't think it'd be so hard, but I think life can be hard. That's just life. Like life is life. There's the highs, the lows, but they're all necessary. So you really have to just flow with it and take the seasons as they come. Enjoy the good when it's there. When the bad comes, know it's teaching you something. So as being an entrepreneur, hard, but the reason I wanted to do it is because I wanted to grow. And the thing is, when I expand myself, then my business also expands, or the mission that I'm on expands, and the work I do expands. And this is definitely a part of my work. So I feel like myself, as I expand and grow, everything else does as well. And that's one of the beauties of this type of stuff. And even with horses, you can't fake it. You can't lie. You can try, but you can't lie to yourself, and you can't lie to the universe, and you can't pretend forever, because deep down, like, there's the truth, and you got to uncover that. And for this thing that I'm doing, it's like, okay, I have to do my work and do my things at the best of my ability where I am right now, and just really trust the process. And trust is a hard thing for me, but I am trying to trust and not get overwhelmed by the future and thinking of like too much big stuff at once, and just focus on the couple steps in front of me. So with the couple steps in front of me, it is the Rider Society. If you want to join that, the free space is open. There will be a link. We can connect in there. You can start learning from some of the coaches already. It's just some free resources for you to give you a couple quick wins and feeling ready to show up and conquer this life of yours and do all the things that you believe are yours to achieve. So it all starts here, starts with Weekend Hustle, and I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Stay tuned for more. This is my update, I guess, and that's about all I have to say. So just thank you so much, and I am sorry for being a little MIA, but here I am putting my face back out there. So, and I encourage you to do the same. Like, even sometimes action is the best. It is the best medicine, they say. Like, taking action helps with procrastination. It helps with motivation. It's almost the action first, the feeling second. So do the actions that will give you that feeling that you are looking for, such as wanting motivation to go to the gym. If you start going to the gym, you're going to start having motivation to go. It's a weird catch-22 that some people have not figured out yet. Some people have, and I'm in the process, but I do find that really helpful, where instead of trying to find the motivation, if you start just taking the actions, the motivation and the inspiration and the drive and the eagerness will come once you actually start doing it. And I guess it really is starting to do something is one of the hardest parts, because once you start, it can be a bit challenging to keep going, but don't let that interfere with your launch, with your start. If you like, the thing is, you always have tomorrow. Like, there's no such thing as failing or like slacking, because you always have tomorrow to change the outcome, to change where you are. And it just takes being like, if I don't get it today, I get it tomorrow. And that's the trust. So it's just trust, and it's a beautiful ride. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to connecting with you further and hopefully helping you along your journey. So bye for now.